McAllen Independent School District will be held on Monday, January 12th, beginning at 5 p.m. in the boardroom admin building of McAllen ISD School District, 2000 North 23rd Street in McAllen, Texas. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subjects listed as follows. Items listed on the agenda may be taken in an order other than as shown on the agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within consent agenda will be acted on at one time. The regular business portion of the meeting for the public, beginning with agenda item number 3, will begin at approximately 6 p.m. The board will now recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 2A, Human Resource Recommendations for School Year 2014-15, Human Resource Employee Resignations for School Year 2014-15, pending or potential litigation, cause number C-1-14-433, eBackpack Inc. versus McAllen Independent School District in the County Court at Law, Rockwell County. And 2D, any possible real estate acquisition. And now at 5:06 p.m., the board will go into closed session. Bella for the invocation.
Earl, would please stand. Dear God, we've come together in your name to work for the good of our schools. Stay with us with your invisible presence and pour your spirit upon us. Make us use your gifts in a spirit of trust and guidance and a spirit of prudence and understanding so that the children of our district may experience an abundance of learning, compassion, and peace. Let harmony reign among us, and let us keep our eyes ever fixed on you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now Trustee Ball will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor.
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. We'll now move to item 6A, recognition and proclamation. Proclamation regarding School Board Recognition Month. Norma, Ms. Zamora Guerra? Oh.
That's why everybody's here, right?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. It's just a public hearing. I think just make a presentation, but I have to ask for any.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today. It is School Board Recognition Month, and we'd like to make this proclamation. I do have students that are going to help me out, but before we get started with the students and the proclamation, I'd like to say, I think we can safely say that the people who work in our schools and in offices and departments that support our schools do so because they love children and they're devoting their lives to positively impacting them. That says so much about the kind of people who make up our McAllen ISD staff. Our teachers and other instructional employees, our counselors, librarians, bus drivers, food services employees, secretaries, principals, and other administrators, and many more. So when you stop and think about the people who, on top of everything else, do it for absolutely no pay, no salary. They volunteer to work in our schools and devote their personal time upwards to 6 to 12 hours every 2 weeks to also positively impact children. You have to agree, this most assuredly tells you about the character of people who make up the McAllen ISD School Board. From the employees to the School Board of Trustees. And this is why when Governor Rick Perry proclaimed January as School Board Recognition Month, and the Texas Association of School Boards selected a theme to celebrate and mark the occasion, a work of heart, needed no explanation. Here then is a delegation of student council representatives from our high schools reading the proclamation and demonstrating their appreciation.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Olivares, Student Council President at Achieve Early College High School. Whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society in every changing world. And whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you. No, it's good.
My name is Danielle Passetti, and I am Student Council President at Memorial High School. Whereas local board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system.
Thank you very much. Oh, very kind, very generous. Thank you. Yeah, how you doing? Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Karina Sendejo. Sorry about that. Hello, my name is Karina Sendejo, and I'm a student council president at Lamar Academy. Whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and responsible for communicating the needs of a school district to a public and the public's expectations to the district.
Very well done. Thank you all very much. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This one is for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you much. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Got a little
Appreciate
bit
you.
of cold.
We got ours.
Well, we got two.
One for Debbie and for
Oh, okay.
Dr. Boyce.
Okay. Just to get you?
Yeah, we're done.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Christopher Lopez, a senior at McAllen High School. Now, therefore, we do hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the McAllen Independent School District Board of Trustees and proclaim the month of January 2015 as School Board Recognition Month.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. How you doing? Thank you, guys. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, how are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, very kind. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. How are you? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Hi, my name is Tony Fordina, and I am from Nicky Rowe High School. I urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children.
Thank you very much, very kind.
You're much more handsome than your dad, that's for sure.
Thank you.
How are you? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I don't want to get you sick,
Thank you.
I don't want y'all to be absent. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here. Okay, so you know I'm sick, so I don't.
It's whoever didn't.
I know.
I don't know. Oh, picture.
I think, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I'll take your picture.
Student council. Don't put it on the floor. Put it right here, Tom. Okay.
I just saw this part.
Okay, let me get it.
Yes. Well, but they're waiting for you to arrange.
They're fine. They can just, I can see everybody's face now.
Okay, can y'all turn your shoulders turn this way? Yeah.
Where do you want? Really? Yeah, I know, I should have had it.
Where are you going?
I can't see Danny. There.
I cannot see the young lady in glasses next to Mr. Marcela, so you can scoot back over there. Everybody look this way, stand up straight so I can see, and then I cannot see you unless you do that. So maybe you should switch with the, or come down. She could come down.
how about, do you mind coming?
But he's too tall.
And Danny, could you come down over here?
Hey.
Chris, now go up right there. That's better. And then, oh yeah. I can't see.
We're gonna Photoshop her.
I cannot see him in front of Mrs. Shazo, yeah. Is there, can you go up one?
That works, that works. Yeah, that works.
You got John in the picture?
Yes.
And don't take it yet, because after he finishes the proclamation.
In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the McAllen Independent School District to be affixed on this 12th day of January 2015. James J. Ponce, Superintendent of Schools, McAllen Independent School District, and attested to by Sam Salivar, Secretary, Junior Secretary, Board of Trustees, McAllen Independent School District.
Again, everybody stand up straight and look straight over here to the lens. And smile, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Stand up straight and smile, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. We'll see that college game. Still Texas a score. We're still reading it for a while. Thank you very much.
Have some eat it.
Well done, thank you.
Strong, she's always been strong.
You guys doing there, you're working it. You guys are really working it.
She not the mom handled it like a fucking child.
Daddy?
Got up and addressed everybody and said we were gone. Time period and all that. So me and
Former student.
as well as Teresa.
She took care of him. They literally lived across the street. Joseph was a little kid. So Samina was the big sister.
All right.
Because I'm 30.
That's when it was 35 millimeter film.
She's 38.
When we got back to her house, she got in a car accident. She just went to do or something.
Thank you so much. Coming from students who represent their schools in either student body government or student officers, we look forward to the day when those students are sitting up here on the bench. So thank you so much for the honor, and back to our regularly scheduled meeting. Now move to item 7, public hearing for 2013-14 District Texas Academic Performance Report. Ms. Arcaute? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This evening, we have the public hearing of the McAllen Independent School District 2013-2014 Texas Academic Performance Report. just to make the public aware that this report is reflecting the data from the school year 13-14. And part of what you will see with this report is data that is collected sometimes 1 year in behind or 2 years, depending on the item. Texas Education Code Section 39 requires that we publish the taper. This was formerly known before up until 2012 as the AEIS report, the Academic Excellence Indicator System. Last year, the state changed the format of the report along with its contents to the Texas Assessment of Progress Report. And one is administered or provided at the district level as well as at each campus. On our website, you will find the taper for the district report and also for all our campuses, along with our campus performance objectives. These were brought to you for approval back in September. Report of violent or criminal incidents and information from the Texas Education Code from the Higher Education Coordinating Board. And this particular publication provides you with an opportunity to see where our students graduated from each of our respective high schools, where they continued on to post-secondary education within the state of Texas. Texas does not track any students who leave our state to attend a post-secondary education elsewhere. So you will see that some of those numbers on those reports appear to be like we don't have data for them, but it is only because the state only compares us to who is within the state. The hearing tonight is for this report, and also to let you know that we do and will maintain copies of this report here at Central Office. Every ISD campus will have not only their report, but also copies of our district report. And we do provide our public library and our chambers of commerce with an electronic copy for their use and or for the dissemination there within their entities. At the same time, the public can also download any of these reports through their TEA website, and I've provided here the different links for the taper, also for the financial standard reports for 2012-2013, which is the financial actual information, also the link for the Higher Education Board report, and all of it can be found also at our McAllen website. If an individual would like to have an actual hard copy, we are able to make those available to you. It comes out to approximately $40. It's close to 800 pages. The Texas Academics Performance Report includes several areas, and I will focus on some of these tonight. They are, as I said, very massive in information, but it does give the public an opportunity to see how the data was disseminated across our district, including all our campuses. Just to reflect our district at a glance for 13-14, we had 25,108 students, over 33 campuses, and we graduated 1,485 students. Of those students, 93.1 graduated with a recommended high school program or the Distinguished Achievement Program. And from that graduating class, 32.6 participated in advanced courses and dual enrollment. What I have here for you is a comparison. The state report will always give us at least 2 years in arrear from in comparison data for the state, the region, and our district. We have been tracking it for 4 to 5 years, so I've been adding each year as we move through it. And you can see that we have continued to have growth in the advanced course dual enrollment. What our state does is they look at the number of courses that juniors and seniors were enrolled in. We do have sophomores enrolled in advanced coursework and dual enrollment, and also in our AP, but they focus on junior and senior classes only. And here's just another way to look at our dual enrollment in comparison, as I said, with the region and with the state. We have been ahead in some cases, especially over our state. For this coming school year of 2015, we are setting our goal at 35%. This is one where the state has not yet provided us the 2014 results. It's one where, even though we're in the 14-15 school year, they report back on 2013. Our AP and IB tested students is also information that's found in this report, and I'm showing you here 2 years. We have continued to increase the number of students that we test. We are one of the districts that requires that all our students who are enrolled in AP and IB courses, they must sit through the exam. There are some districts that have the students elect whether they want to sit in or not. In our case, if the student is enrolled, they must sit in for the exam. And also how many are above the criterion, which means they're scoring 3s, 4s, and 5s. Again, another glance of how we have our students through the bar graph. Under college-ready graduates, this is where the state looks at our graduates of the previous school year. In this case, it was class of 2013. And what they are comparing here is how many of our students are ready to enter into post-secondary education without having to take remedial courses. And you can see that we do have, compared to the state and the region, we were ahead of the region and fell a little short from class of 2013 with the state. When we look at both subjects, we have stayed right alongside with the state. We're still ahead of the region in both cases. This allows the student, for example, if they are eligible for college coursework in ELA, but they may not be meeting their requirements in math, they can still move on to a post-secondary course without having to take remedial courses. In this case, 55% of our students are able to meet that criteria for both English and math. And here is the bar graph view, so you can see how we have been leading as a district. College-ready graduates, this is also one where when we look at the individual coursework in ELA, we're showing the last 5 years and how we are continuing to move forward. We have been ahead of the region, and in most cases right alongside, if not ahead of the state. In particular with the math, another comparison, so you can see where we fare. As I said, we've been looking at it for 5 years. It was a longitudinal goal that we had when we declared ourselves a college career-ready district. That was our goal, to get more students college-ready. And this is the graph when you see both English and math joined together. This is another feature that the state added this past year, and again, only within the state of Texas, but it only gives us, at this point, through the class of 2012. It does take the state at times about 2 years to be able to catch up in tracking all our students. But if you will notice that we are ahead of the region at the state, both back in the class of 2012, and also the number of students or percentage of students who were able to complete their first year without having to take any remediation courses or remedial courses. Again, this is another one where they only track the students that are within the state of Texas. And based on our numbers, although we do have a large percentage of students that stay here in the state of Texas, we do have a substantial number that move out of Texas, and those the state does not track. And here is the bar graph, and you can see how we're able to measure that. At times, the reason that the state is not able to track them is based on the ID number that the student has moving into the college, and if they are not able to match it based on the ID number they had when they left us, and they enrolled in post-secondary, they're not able to give us a true match of where the students are. And just a reminder that we do have the report and the different links, and they're also available on our website for easy access for our parents. And I'm adding this particular report here. This is not part of the Texas Assessment Performance Report. It is a separate report that is provided to us from the Texas Education Agency, and it gives you a summary where all our campuses met standard, which was the accountability ratings that were released in August. But we've gone ahead and added it on because it is part of the campus reports. You will be able to see individually when they have their reports that they have met standard and that they've met all the indices required. And
That's every single campus?
Pardon?
That's every single campus.
That's
in the
every single
district.
campus, ma'am, yes. It does show 34. We do have 33, if you'll notice, at about, right here, you have the Southwest Keep program, and that is for the out-of-district placement when we send students for discipline. But it's always listed as part of ours, although that is not one of our existing campuses here within the district. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, there being none, we'll move to item 8, board member, board committee, and district reports. Item 8A1, instructional service briefing. Trustee Esparza?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Tonight, we'll be discussing, one of the items which we just went over was number 7, the public hearing. Also, instructional approval of House Bill 1, high school reform goals. 10A2, approval of bid number 2014-054, library books, audiovisual materials. And number 3, approval of modified schedule state assessment testing days waiver. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8A2, business operations. Trustee Saldivar?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Fellow trustees, Dr. Ponce. On Friday, January the 9th, at 12 noon, we had a meeting of the committee, business operations, which included Mrs. Trustee DeShazo, Ms. Lopez, Assistant Superintendent for Business Operations, and myself. And we discussed items before the board to be discussed today, and I don't believe are for consideration necessarily this evening, and will be acted upon at our second board meeting. And these include items 10C, 1, which is approval of McAllen Independent School District's December budget, amendment for fiscal year beginning with July 1st, 2014, and will end on June 30th, 2015. Item 10C2, approval of interlocal cooperation agreement with products and services with the Houston Galveston Area Council. And the last item, which is 10C3, which is approval of a resolution adopting authorization of a broker-dealer list for the district. And this is something, as you know, we've been having several discussions over the last few years of ways of leveraging our funds to hopefully get a return on investment. And this is a great opportunity Ms. Lopez shared with Trustee DeShazo and I that I look forward to her presentation shortly. And that concludes our committee report, President Delegado Lopez. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move to item 8A3, district operations briefing. Trustee Vella?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met last Wednesday, January 7th, our committee. We met with Dr. Mike Barrera, Jacob Martinez, and Dr. Ponce for our district operations briefing. It was short and sweet. One of the items we discussed is actually the next item on our agenda, and that was the report regarding the notice to file an application for a place on the ballot for McAllen ISD trustee elections coming up in May. The other item was an item we addressed was the rebid or the recontracting for our gasoline and fuel services. Our district's been a little bit proactive because of the lower gasoline prices and fuel prices, and we're going out in anticipation of acquiring some better bids for our gasoline and fuel. Short and sweet, those are the only 2 items we discussed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now move to item 8B, district reports. Report regarding the notice of deadline to file application for place on the ballot. Dr. Barrera?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mrs.
Good evening.
and Board of Trustees and Dr. Ponce. Each election year, 30 days before the first day of the day to file an application for a place on the trustee ballot, we must post the notice for a deadline. And so we backed up that time, and I've got a slide here that'll be up momentarily, but that day was on Monday, December the 29th, and that's what we posted in the front of our central administration building. And as it reads there, it's the notice of deadline to file application for a place on the ballot. And on that, it will list out the positions. That's positions 1, 2, 4, and 5. The filing dates and the times will begin on Wednesday, January the 28th. And it will run for 30 days. It will end on February the 27th, which is a Friday. Our office hours, the applications can be picked up either in person or filed electronically. During office hours, 8 a.m. to noon and 1 to 5, and of course we're closed on the weekends. And that's our office there, as the Office of Assistant Superintendent for District Operations. Ms. Norma Ramirez is my secretary that will help us with that, and her email address is listed below there. Just to let you know, that election day is on Saturday, May the 9th. This is a posting that's up there. And at the next board meeting, what we'll bring to you is a resolution that will call for the election of the Board of Trustees, which was slated for Saturday, May the 9th.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to item 8B2, report regarding taxes collected for November 2014. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to all. We have, the Hidalgo County Tax Office has collected just over $7 million for November. In terms of the percents, the original levy was just over 70 million, closer to 71 million, collected over 7 million, 9.69% collected through November as compared to 9.75% collected through last November. In terms of the delinquent taxes, we have a 7.5 levy there. Percent collected for this school year is 20.36% as compared to this same time last year at 17.40%. We expect, of course, December to be even higher and January possibly even higher than that. But that concludes the report, ma'am.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, there being none, we'll move to item 9, action on items in closed session. A, approval of human resource recommendations for school year 2014-15. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 this evening.
Madam President, I move that we approve. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by trustee Saldivar and a second by trustee Esparza. Any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. Item 9B, human resource employee resignations for school year 2014-15. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am. That one's for information only.
Thank you.一 9C, pending and/or potential litigation. Mr. Crane?
We have one item, cause number C-1-14-433, E-Backpack Inc., v. McAllen Independent School District.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to we proceed as directed.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I move to proceed as directed.
I have a motion by trustee Vella and a second by trustee DeShazo to proceed as directed. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. Item 9D, any possible real estate acquisition? Mr. Crane?
None at this time.
Thank you. Item 10, instructional services, district operation, business operations, superintendent and/or board of trustee briefing items. A, instructional service briefing items. Ms. Arcaute?
Yes,
Number
ma'am.
one.
I'm trying to get my computer to come up, and it has frozen, so I will go ahead and continue if someone can get it for me. Tonight, I bring to you the high school reform goals for 2014-2015. At the beginning of the school year in September, we bring to you, as I mentioned earlier, the campus performance objectives. And with that includes, I think I might be able to do it right now.
You get it?
There we go, yes.
Thank you.
This high school reform goals are goals that we set as a district, and this is required because as a district, we receive what are known as high school allotment funds. The state provides us a $275 per high school student, 9 through 12, to administer the funds for any kind of activities from 6th through 12th grade. What it does for us is it allows us to be able to start our college readiness activities for our students starting 6 through 12. So we do have some funds that we expend at our middle schools and preparing them for post-secondary. Some of these you will see are very similar to what I just presented at the Texas Academic Performance Report. This one in particular, for example, is students graduating from high school. Out of the 5 areas that we must set a goal for, it is graduation from high school, students enrolled in advanced coursework, including AP and IB, students who are graduating under the recommended high school program and distinguished achievement, and then college readiness in English, math, and both subjects. This is one that's a little bit different from the previous report. As you can see here, we tracked it back to 2009, and by graduating students here, I'm focusing only on graduates plus continuers. As you may well know, the state has changed the formula throughout the years on what they call graduation rates. We have stayed with what we started using back in '09, which was graduates plus continuers. You will see some other reports, especially in the taper, that will talk about longitudinal studies that include GED and so forth. So this is, we were able to compare from one year to the other. You'll notice that back in 2009, we were at 83.1. This past year, we were at 2013, we were at 89.8. We do have preliminary data that is in the process of being submitted for our PEAM submission this year, which will reflect the class of 2014 that graduated last May. And the preliminary figures show us at about 92%. We won't have this data till about a year and a half from now, when the dust finally settles on what the state does for their evaluation. So we are setting our goal at 95%, keeping in mind that this is only for graduates across all our high schools. The recommended high school program and distinguished achievement program have to do with the number of students who are either graduating with the DAP or the recommended program. Again, in 2013, we were at 93.1, and you're able to see that we were leading both at state and at the region level. But in 2015, we've set it at 95%. Advanced course and dual enrollment. This is also the number of courses, looking again at juniors and seniors, but it's also looking at particular classes. We do offer a large variety of dual enrollment classes, but when the state looks at this report, they look specifically at certain courses. It does not include every dual enrollment that we offer as a district. So this is only reflective of the core. For example, in math, you have either statistics or calculus that will count for this. It's not every single course. And the same thing with English. You have your English 3, your English 4. Higher education readiness component in ELA, also one year behind, and you can see that our numbers have been increasing this past year. With ELA, not only we across the state, but also in the region took a little bit loss on the numbers. We are attributing that to, there were some changes in the test, especially with the timing and the writing piece of that. In math, you'll notice that we have continued to increase and are setting right along with the state. We're setting our goal for 80% in the coming year. And then once again, in both subjects, the increase would go to 60% with the class of 2015. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Arcaute. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee DeShazo?
Ms. Arcaute, these figures that you have, 95, 35, 95, 70, 80, and 60, where do you get those percentages? How do you determine that percentage?
Those I'm projecting based on not only how we have grown from each year, but looking at, I've been trying to look at the different formulas that the state is looking at, what kind of coursework they're looking at. But I'm also trying to stay ahead of the state. So I looked at where the state is trending and making sure that we're aiming higher than where the state is.
Okay, and so then it would be correct to say that other school districts within our area or across the state would have different percentages based, say, on that formula that you're using? Or is this just unique to us?
Because as a district, we can set the goal as we like.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you. Now move to item 10A2, approval of bid number 2014-054, library books, audiovisual materials, and instructional reading materials catalog bid. Ms. Abicote?
Yes, ma'am. Administration, through of course our purchasing department, for the bid on library books, ebooks, and audiovisual materials and instructional reading materials, sent out notices to 652 vendors that were invited to provide pricing for all these materials. At the time of this writing for submission of the item, staff was continuing to evaluate the proposal. We will bring you a final copy of the vendors that will be set for approval on the 26th. As you can see, we extended it as much as we could because this bid is also used district-wide. So any of the vendors that are on any department from within the district can utilize it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Move to item 10A3, approval of modified schedule state assessment testing days waiver. Ms. Abicote?
Yes, ma'am. The state of Texas allows districts to apply for a modified schedule for state assessment testing, known as a waiver. What it allows us as a district to do is during the high school end of course testing, it allows us to have our students who are not being administered the end of course exam for that particular day to be able to enter or to come in at a late arrival during those 5 testing periods, which are typically the first week in May. It does allow, as I said, for that, be it tax or end of course, to attend classes later in the morning. Typically, we ask our students to be here at about 11:30 to 11:45 in order for it to still constitute a day. This past year, we've had this waiver in place for several years. We typically apply for it for 3 years running. This past year, for example, we only used 1 day of the waiver. In meeting with all the high school principals, they felt that it was really to their benefit and to our students' benefits to be in school if we did not need to keep them home. So they only utilized it during 1 day. And that was the day where they had more testing, because anytime we administer the end of course exam in the spring, we also administer to any student who has not mastered it. We will be meeting closer to the test date to determine how many students need to test and whether they need to have a group of our students stay home. Typically, it has been the seniors who by this time have mastered all their exams, but that also means that we have approximately 400 students less on campus, and it allows us to utilize not only the facilities but also our staff for the different types of test administrations, be it small group or one-to-one administration. So we are bringing this to you for approval on the 26th in the event that we need it. Achieve, for example, Early College High School and Lamar Academy did not utilize the waiver last year at all. In their case, with Achieve, they are taking college courses, and they needed to be in the coursework, so they could not stay home. But for the most part, they had already passed all their exams also. So on the days that we do happen to bring in the students at a late arrival, we do have a second bus run that will bring all our students in. At the time of voting, one of the things that we are required to submit to the state, and you'll notice that on the form, is that when you all do take the vote, we do need to submit how many voted for, how many voted against, or how many were absent. And that will be on the 26th.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee DeShazo?
Ms. Arcaute, I noticed that you have all the CPOC, or not CPOC, yeah, the Site-Based Decision-Making Committee.
Yes.
For all the schools that this applies to, and was this like a majority that all of them agreed to this waiver?
Well, what the statute requires is that the site-based decision-making committee at the campus must meet to review the waiver and to agree whether they want it applied.
And all of them here signed it, indicating that this is what they wanted?
Yes,
the
ma'am.
majority of them. And when the students that don't come to school until a later time, have we had any problems with them not coming at all the whole day?
No, because we, campuses start calling. And the previous years when we had it for all the different grade levels, we would keep freshmen home one day, sophomores home a different day, juniors and seniors, it was okay, you have a privilege to be able to stay home. But lately, with the curriculum that we have and how much we have to cover, We've just not extended it as much as we have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you, Ms. Arcata.
Thank you.
I think everybody has a cold tonight, right?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Not me, because I went to Lee's Pharmacy.
There you go. Unpaid plug.
We appreciate that unsolicited support.
I went to Lee's.
10B, District Operations Briefing, item number 1, approval of renewal of bid number 2012-110, gasoline products and delivering service. Dr. Barrera?
Yes, ma'am. This is a multi-year contract for gasoline products and delivery services, and it's termed for 3 years. And this is the second year of our option to renew. We get to renew at the end of every year. We're right in the middle of this option to be able to renew. Staff is recommending renewal of these contracts for the second year of our option to renew. Staff compares pricing based on the average rack prices listed in the Oil Price Information Services. That's our OPUS index that we are able to secure ready real-time pricing similar. That's plus fixed margin for profit that's offered by the vendors, as well as any applicable taxes and fees that are applied, plus the delivery. And it's based on a discount from the average out of the OPUS rankings there, and it's used for spot purchases. We buy in bulk of 10,000 and 12,000 gallons at a time. A little bit of a history here. Between 2012 and 2013, we spent $725,000. 2013 to 2014, we spent $690,000, and 2014 to 2015 to January the 11th, we spent $511,000. So if you kind of look at the math there, over the years, we've been able to save a little over $200,000 by watching the contracts here and exercising our options there. So I commend our purchasing and our transportation director back behind me there for being on key to press on with these kinds of savings and things. This is for approval on the 12th, and I asked about a topic or something that came up in our discussions was, well, can we buy? Do we have that option to buy up front when the price goes real low? This isn't that type of a contract, but that's more like a futures contract, and staff is looking into the possibility of being able to buy in the futures and hold the prices, and we're looking at storage fees and that kind of stuff too. So we're on that mark as well.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Esparza?
I have a question, Madam President. Dr. Barrera, the costs have been going down because the price of gas has been going down, I assume?
Right.
But and I know these are just anticipated expenditures. You've jumped up to almost 800,000. Are we going to be traveling more? I mean, you anticipate the gas going up for the next year? Or?
Well, we always overcompensate in the event that something were to, fluctuate in the high range. That's always an estimate that we use there. So we're just trying to cover ourselves well.
And those charts that you included, those 7,000 gallons, those are just for estimates to show.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, those are our tanks. Tanks aren't completely empty at the time when we refill them, and that's kind of the way that range it. And the delivery fees range between 5,000 and 8,000 gallons, so we picked 7.
Okay.
Our pricing's at $1.72 for diesel and $1.55 for unleaded. It's a pretty good deal.
Good deal. All right. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Dr. Barrera, did you say you needed approval tonight for this?
He did say the 12th.
You said the 12th.
Yes, I said the 12th. My mistake. Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Trustee Valla and a second by Trustee Saldivar. Any further questions or comments from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. That was fast. Item 10C, Business Operations Briefing Number 1, approval of the McAllen Independent School District December budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014 and ending June 30, 2015. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am, and I'm just going to highlight some of the larger dollar amounts. In terms of the revenues, and this all applies to our general fund. In terms of the revenues, we do see listed an insurance recovery for McHigh gym floor. You see that dollar there.
Mm-hmm.
We also, in terms of the expenditures, Function 11, We have some related to replacing textbooks and office equipment and supplies for Pettis Elementary due to the fire damage. We also have some use of fund balance for the different programs, high school allotment for textbooks, teacher stipends for bilingual, along with dual language program and summer school program already for bilingual, setting those up, getting ready for that. We see some more under function 51 for, again, for Pettis fire damage. And of course, for replacing the Mac High gym floor, you see dollar amounts there. On the next page, function 81 is a large one, and that is to transfer or use of fund balance for the classroom buildings contracted for Pettis Elementary fire damage. We have received some of the insurance, but we have not received it all entirely. So we will bring that forth as we receive it. But that completes the December budget amendment request.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question.
Trustee
Madam
Esparza?
President. Connie, on that chart that has the general fund right after, I guess it's page 91, and it has original budget, revised budget, policy changes. On expenditure item number 11, instruction, there's $582,000 in it. What is that? What is that?
The
from?
details, sir, if you go over to page 92,
Okay.
if you look at function 11 on page 92, you'll see those, that column add up to 582. So the larger ones there were some of the use of the fund balance for bilingual state funding and some of the high school allotment and Pettis fire damage. But they foot that way.
Now, in these bilingual teacher stipends, let's see. Okay. Those are coming from fund balance.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They had remaining balances at the end of June 30th, 2014.
And function 13 and 21 on that same page,
Yes, sir.
is that travel that's upcoming, or is that travel that they've already?
It is upcoming. It should be upcoming, and it may be possibly in June. But it is use of fund balance for travel that's coming.
For our teachers, or who's that for?
That would be, function 13 could definitely be teachers. Function 21 is for our central office bilingual folks, the director and some of the strategists.
Okay.
And that amount, $20,000, Ms. Lopez, is that in addition to what has already been spent?
Yes, ma'am, this would be additional
So
monies.
we're adding more to it?
Yes, ma'am, out of the fund balance that they carried over. And those programs are very specific. Once a district grabs its indirect portion, the direct portion needs to be spent within the bilingual program. And so that's what we're doing right here. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
I have no further question. I have no question.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay. Now move to item 10C2, approval of interlocal cooperative agreement purchase number 2014-086, products and services through Houston Galveston Area Council Cooperative. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am, we do utilize the HGAC cooperative as an additional resource for the acquisition of goods and services. We do note here the section of the code that allows this. It's of course for us to obtain additional benefits and efficiencies that accrue to the members of the cooperative. Does comply, of course, with state bidding requirements. And it identifies qualified vendors for commodities, goods, and services. Membership is free and the district benefits from the rebate program. We, again, use it as an additional procurement resource, and we, of course, are always looking out for the best value. So staff will obtain quotes when making purchases. We have used this for Motorola radios 2 years ago, and for the Lego instructional system this past school year. So we don't use it a lot, but we do like to approve the cooperative as another source for potentially, for price comparisons especially.
Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you. There being none, move to item 3, approval of resolution adopting authorized broker-dealer list. Ms. Lopez?
Yes, ma'am, we would definitely, we are asking the board for approval through the Public Funds Investment Act that does govern all of our investments, it does require the governing body or its designated investment committee to review, revise, and adopt a list of qualified broker-dealers authorized to engage in investment transactions. We have primarily, the district has used CDs, and we have used the pools, and we have used money market accounts, and that's pretty much all that we've been using. We want to start moving towards actually investing in T-bills, in agencies, and so forth. Fannie Mae, Federal Home Loan Bank. Of course, we would be working with Linda Patterson and Associates and her group. And her group is actually recommending this broker-dealer list so that we can obtain bids when we do have monies that we can invest for longer periods. We will possibly even consider commercial paper, A1P1 commercial paper. Our policy is stricter than most policies, our local policy, and that if we were to invest in commercial paper, we could only invest at a maximum of 90 days. As far as we know, and as far as Ms. Patterson knows, no A1P1 commercial paper has ever failed because they go through downgrading. So when you get out there beyond 90 days, then you run more risk. So of course, our primary concern with the district is the safety and security of all these investments, and of course, liquidity as we need it. But we do have, our fund balance is substantial, so that there is a fair amount of dollars that we could invest longer term. And we expect rates to get better by mid to late 2015, but in the meanwhile, we would like to start looking at other instruments to invest in. And so the following broker dealers, and they're attached there for your review. And we, of course, if the board has any questions before the 26th, we're not asking for approval this evening.
I have a quick question.
Trustee Esparza?
Are the rates better for these other investments than what we're currently at right now?
They are, sir. They are 2 to 3 times better in some cases. Now, again, you know, you're talking about going from 7 basis points or 10 to possibly 30, but it would give us possibly 2 to 3 times, I hope even above that, in terms of overall annual investment, interest income.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, we'll move to item D, superintendent's briefing item.
There's none at this meeting.
Okay. Item E, Board of Trustees briefing items. Approval of Board of Education meeting minutes for A, the regular board meeting December 15th, 2014. Do I have a motion?
Move that we approve, Madam President.
Second.
And I have a motion by Trustee Saldivar and a second by Trustee DeShazo. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Madam President. I like this new format, taking the agenda item and then just plugging in the action of the board. I think you had a lot to do with that, you and Dr. Ponce working out that format. I think it's much easier for us to review and also for the public, so they choose to get a copy. So
Thank
I just want
you.
to comment, it's a very good approach. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. Also, approval of the special board meeting December 15th, 2014 at 6:15 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Trustee Saldivar and a second by Trustee Esparza. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Item passes 6-0. Item 11, schedule of future meetings are listed A through D. With there being no reason for us to go into closed session or open session, we are now adjourned at 7:11 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Go Ducks.
New Year.